Today's title of what we're going to talk about is how to save when it feels financially impossible. And I don't know if you guys are kind of like me, but I read that whole financially impossible. And of course, I immediately thought of Mission Impossible, right? And here's Tom Cruise, and he's trying to break into, the impossible part. And sometimes I think when we're looking at our finances, we get to start feeling like this is mission impossible. There's some examples of this. And one that I will give you is for households that make over $100,000 a year, 54% of them live paycheck to paycheck. In other words, they don't have any savings. They are living, obviously the money comes in and all the money goes out. The average savings for Americans in their checking account in all of their accounts is about $450. And we've got this rule of thumb that, we need to have some savings set aside. And it just feels like what we're trying to do is move this from being mission, not just impossible, to mission possible, but we want this to be mission probable. Okay. And by that, what I'm showing is this is a growth. This is long-term. This is not something that we're going to solve overnight. I think that a lot of times, there's so many times, whether it's weight loss or finances or whatever, that you see the marketing and it's like, oh, we're going to change your financial position overnight. And that just it's not reasonable. It doesn't happen that way. So in order to be able to make this more of a probability of having good savings, I want you to take a look at the long term. We need to build up 3 to 6 months worth of savings. Ballpark, what most folks need is somewhere between $7,500 to $15,000. It's a lot of money. Nobody can go out there and just go, okay, I'm going to move funds over. I'm going to go out and get $7,500. So how do we get there over a long run? How do we make this probable? And it is over that long term, because this is what we want to get to. We want to have the feeling where we've got money set aside specifically to be able to do what you want. And an example of this, I have a savings account, an emergency funds account, and we had a terrible ice storm here a couple of weeks ago. Well, I've got some oak trees that are historic and critical to my house, and wanted to make sure they were well taken care of. And so I had to write a $3,400 check to an arborist to come out and check on the trees after the ice storm. And the nice part is, because I have the investment discipline and savings, reinforced by my wife, of course, we have those funds that are set aside in order to take care of something that is important to us. And being able to take care of the things that are important to you, and that can be covering your health, that can be making sure you have secure transportation. Just as life comes at you, there are just times that you're going to need this. And I want to talk about this, how to get there, how to get that feeling of, I've got funds set aside for an emergency. I realize that for this audience, I'm probably presenting very, very low numbers. Some of us probably have $10 in change rummaging around in different parts of the furniture between the couch and the chairs, right? But I wanted to give an easy example, and I was actually having this last night with my son's girlfriend. And I was giving her an example of, well, what if you just started saving $10 a month? I mean, everybody, the vast majority of us can go, okay, I can do $10. And said, all right, do that for 3 months. Get into the discipline and the habit of putting that money aside. And if you're not missing the $10, then I'm like, okay, bump that up to $25 and do that for 3 months. And if you don't miss the $25 after that 90 days, then let's double it and go to 50. Well, at the end of the first 12 months, you'd have $405 set aside. Well, guess what? That's almost as much as what the average person has in their checking account now. And you've got that in some type of savings set aside. And most importantly, you have the discipline of setting those funds aside. And if you're able to go through and just consistently put money away, using it when you need it, not want it, need it, you're going to build up that 3 to 6 months. You're going to have that 15. You're going to have that $7,500, that $10,000, that $15,000 that's available for when you have an ice storm, a medical emergency, want to do something helpful. this is a process. This is always a discipline, and it is always a long-term discipline.